Tonight we are live from London and across the pond in Canada for a uranium-focused StockBox premiere. Well, joining us on the panel tonight for this uranium-focused premiere, our guests are Rick Mazer and Rebecca Hunter from Forum Energy Metals. They are listed on the TSXV with the ticker FCM, where we're going to be talking about their Nunavut uranium project in the Thelon Basin, which is in the Nunavut province of Northern Canada. Dwayne Parnham, the CEO of Madison Metals, they are on the Canadian Stock Exchange with the ticker GREN, where we're talking about their Madison North and Madison West uranium project in Namibia. And Brian Robertson, Director of Appia Rare Earths and Uranium, also listed on the CSE with the ticker API, talking about their uranium and rare earth project in Ontario. So the format, as usual, is to begin with the 10 to 15 minute interview, followed by the open Q&A session for 15 minutes. And this is, of course, your chance to put your questions to the director speaking using the live chat on YouTube. Please do join in the conversation either through the YouTube live chat or find us on Twitter, #StockBoxPremiere. Please also hit that like or subscribe button if you are indeed enjoying the show this evening. The directors are, of course, bound by market rules, but they will do their very best to answer your questions as best they can. Well, to kick us off tonight, let's welcome our first guests. That is Rick Mazer and Rebecca Hunter from Forum Energy Metals. Thank you very much for joining us today, both of you. How are you doing?
Good. Thank you, Mark. Thanks for having me.
Hi, Mark.
It's great to be talking to you both. Of course, Rick and Rebecca, you are on StockBox a fair bit, but it's the first time we're doing a live show with you. So very excited to welcome you both here today. So, of course, what we're going to be talking about is the Thelon Basin, your project there, which is perhaps the most prospective region in the world for discovering new high-grade unconformity-style uranium deposits outside of Saskatchewan's Athabasca Basin. And the company have a discovery from recent exploration with grades of 2.25% over 11 meters. So it's great that you've got that discovery. And I know we did our live from site when you were on site earlier on, just a couple of months ago. So I wonder, just to start us off, perhaps for new and existing investors, could you perhaps give a high level overview of what you've got and the opportunity of the uranium portfolio that you've assembled? And if you would like, I do have the slides, just let me know whenever you would like me to bring them in.
Sure, Mark. Well, listen, you couldn't have said it better. We have a major uranium discovery in probably the latest, newest frontier for unconformity style deposits in the Thelon Basin of Nunavut. The Thelon Basin, in our view, is a geologic analog to the Athabasca. And as you know, the Athabasca is very prolific. It produces 15% of the world's uranium in 2022. And with our new discovery and the existing deposit that's up there right now held by Orano, the French Nuclear Corporation, we think the future for production of uranium in Nunavut is very positive and very real down the road.
And I wonder if you can talk a little bit about this unconformity style deposit, because I think many people might not be familiar with exactly what that means. Could you perhaps give an overview of the uranium prospectivity in that region specifically, why it's different from the Athabasca Basin, and the significance of unconformity deposits?
Well, that's where Rebecca comes in. She has her PhD thesis on uranium, unconformity deposits of uranium, and she has worked in the Athabasca Basin and the Thelon Basin for 15 years of her career. So I think she's the one that's more qualified than I.
Sure.
Yeah, I guess I can answer this. So the unconformity model is just a certain type of uranium deposit. So There's many different types. There's about 15 types actually. But the unconformity type is important. It's at the unconformity or a contact between kind of an older kind of sandstone, usually sandstone basin, and older rocks underneath. And they have certain characteristics that actually make really high grade deposits. And so what I mean by high grade is the average uranium deposit in the world, this includes all types, is about 0.1%, even lower, a lot of deposits. And unconformity deposits are typically 0.5% or higher. And the Athabasca Basin is 1% usually, and then up to 20%. And that's mining grade. That's not just, intercept. So really rich basins, and then a lot of times it can be high tonnage as well. So some of the biggest uranium deposits are over 100 million pounds. So that's kind of why they're important. They can weather really bad bear markets because they're such high grade. So that's one of the reasons why they're very attractive. And again, there's only a few places on Earth that actually have the right geological conditions to host them, and the Thelon Basin is one of these. It's the most similar to the Athabasca Basin. Same kind of geology, same kind of timing when the uranium deposits were being made. It's being affected by all those same events. And it's right in our backyard. It is just not explored. It just hasn't seen the exploration as the Athabasca has. So that's why we're there, and that's why we're excited to be there, because it's essentially all this opportunity is open up there to find big deposits.
Well, yes, big deposits. That's what we want to hear, isn't it? I like what you said there, high grade, and they have the ability to perhaps weather some of the market swings because they are so high grade. And of course, you do have that discovery. I know this was a big part of your PhD. You've been working on this for quite a while, and of course, news flow from Nunavut has been constant in the last few months, with I think only news just last week on the Ned anomaly. So I wonder if you can bring investors up to speed on the recent and current exploration activities on site.
So yeah, we've been trickling out the news over the last few months. So yeah, we started when we did the StockBox at Beaver Creek. That was kind of our main area. We focused in two areas this summer. So we went back to Tadagak. So that's the Tadagak deposit to try to work on that. And then we also got one hole into the Ned target, which is one of our many other targets in the basin that we think have the potential to host more deposits or even bigger, kind of really classical unconformity deposits. And so that was the Ned press release that we had most recently. And so what that just shows is that we have the right geological kind of characteristics. We didn't get to drill very deep in that hole, but we have everything there to drill again. So we got really nice alteration, and we have the kind of the pathfinders, we call it, so kind of other elements besides uranium in the area that will show us that we should go there and continue drilling there.
Hey Mark, let's bring up that location map now, so Rebecca can sort of point out.
Sure.
Yes. So anyways, the Tadagak is the main area, kind of closer to Orano. It's an area that's only 5 kilometers away from Orano's project boundary. Mm-hmm. And then Ned is a bit to the north, at the northern part, closer to the Kigavik deposit, which is another one of Orano's deposits. So
okay. Yeah, so we can see there the Athabasca Basin, and north of there is a Thelon Basin where you are. I think perhaps the next one has a bit. Yeah, okay. So now we can see.
So this one, So Ned, I can't really point to it, but it's up in the Thelon Basin. So we're actually drilling in the sandstone, looking for those kind of classical unconformity deposits like MacArthur, Cigar, and then Tadagak is the one star to the in the middle, I guess. It's really the central part of our land package is where Tadagak is. Okay. And so that's where, that's the area that we're really excited about. We kind of tested some new structural models there to basically the stuff that I did in my thesis, kind of defining where the geometry of these kind of mineralized zones are at Tadagak. And so we got back there, drilled it at a true angle, and that's where we got the 2.25 at 11 meters. And then we stepped out from there to really show continuity of the trend. So 200 meters step out, hit really great high grade mineralization again, and that was some of the previous press releases that were in the last month.
Okay, I think you might have some more details there. Yes, indeed,
Yeah.
on that drilling campaign.
So exactly. So this is Tadagak. We have that blue area, light blue to the dark blue is basically a gravity anomaly. It's alteration. That's what we're targeting because that's where the uranium mineralization is always associated with. And so the first press release was at 2.25. So we know, we hit that at a true angle. We understand that we have these steep lenses, kind of subvertical lenses now. So we have, a width now of mineralization of 50 meters that can be expanded. We'll show that in the next slide in more detail. And then we did that 200 meter step out into some areas that hasn't been drilled very well, but the alteration was there. So I was very confident that we were going to hit mineralization, and we did. And we'll have one more hole that's pending probably in another week. We'll put that out. Again, it's a really nice mineralized hole. We're just waiting for assays.
Okay, fantastic. And here's your X section.
Yeah, so the section here is just to show that we, the hole that we drilled at Tadagak, the first one there that had the nice 2.25%, with some grades up to 7% in there. But we have these stacked or kind of subvertical lenses. So that wasn't what we thought initially, especially when I was drilling this back, in the last cycle. We thought it was more of a shallow dipping pod of mineralization, but now we know we have these stacked lenses. And basically this hole only tagged into 2 of them. So the deposit that we have so far is actually, has quite a bit more mineralization over a 50 meter width. So that's kind of what this section is showing. And it shows that, we can expand the width. That'll be a focus of subsequent years, is to kind of see if we can broaden this to be greater than 50 meters wide, and then extend it along strike. That's the big thing. So, and strike just means along trend. So we have the mineralization where it is. We have 250 meters of known mineralization now, and now it's to expand it all the way the 1.5 kilometers that this entire kind of anomaly is resting in. So that's the big upside here, is that we have the ability now to expand this quite significantly.
Okay, well, that's very nice to hear. And there's I know there's some pictures of core there. That's always very nice. We can just leave that there for a moment. But really the idea then here is you want to expand the width. You've identified these stacked lenses, which you say helps you understand a bit more the deposit that you didn't perhaps understand before. I know you have quite aggressive plans for 2024 with a camp construction bigger than what the temporary one was this year. And I think about a 12,000 meter drill campaign. So, I mean, what are the main aims of this program?
So, yeah, we want to get in there and we want to drill it hard because we know that we have mineralization. We want to get to a 43-101 or be able to expand and determine if there's a major resource here quickly. And so we have 2 drills up there currently. We actually brought up another drill this summer by barge. So kind of in the background of all this exploration work, we also were logistically planning for subsequent years. So we have another drill up there, and so we want to go hard with those 2 drills, get 12,000 meters, bring in the camp. We'll do the camp in May, drill from June to October, and hopefully have even better results. So we'll focus on Tadagak. We're going to build that. And then again, like all those other deposits, we'll get back to NED or zones. We'll get back to NED, see what's there, and as well as all our other areas.
You have a lot of targets, I believe, don't you, as well? About 20, I think. I mean, I guess you'd be prioritizing them.
Yeah, we have about 20, and they're good targets too. They're all gravity anomalies. Some of them have been drilled, so it's confirmed that they have good alteration. Other ones will be tests, but they're in the right corridors and the right geology.
Excellent. Well, thank you very much, Rebecca. That was fantastic. We do have now time for any questions from the audience or that were sent in before. So either you or Rick, I'll read them out, and you or Rick can jump in and ask them. So let's see if there's any that have come in. Here we go. Where do you see we currently are in the uranium bull cycle from your vast experience? That's probably more for Rick. No offense, Rick.
Well, we have baseball over here in Canada and the United States. We think it's the early innings over there. I guess it would be cricket. How long is a cricket game? It's pretty long, isn't it? Well, we think it's early stages in the nuclear cycle. The supply demand imbalance is totally out of whack. Um, there needs to be more uranium coming out of the ground. Um, the demand for nuclear power is rising, um, and there's just not enough coming out of the ground. So that's why I think you've seen the price of uranium ticked up from about $55 to almost to $70 in the last month and a half, really. So we're very bullish on nuclear energy and the need for more uranium mines.
Yes, indeed. Okay, another question that's come in here. Does FMC intend to grow the uranium portfolio, or are you going to just focus purely on Thelon now you've got that discovery?
The Thelon is going to be that's our main focus right now. This is a major discovery in our view. We have a tremendous portfolio of good projects, drill ready projects in the Athabasca Basin. Because as you know, Mark, I started this company in 2004 with Anthony Baum, our chairman in London. And we've got a lot of really good exploration projects in the Athabasca. But our plan there is probably to farm those out to partners and focus on the Thelon Basin on this, as I say, which we think is a new developing world-class discovery.
Well, if you feel that way and you've got that discovery, that's probably one of the better approaches to take. Go at it hard, as Rebecca said earlier. So any other questions that come in? How do you think the recent geopolitical events may impact uranium pricing?
Yeah, I think that's affecting the equity markets more than uranium pricing. I don't listen. If we're going to get to net zero 2050, as the world seems to want, we've got to replace coal-fired power generation with more baseload energy, and nuclear is really the only answer for baseload energy. It truly is. Um, Wind and solar are good incremental sources of power, but how are you going to run a manufacturing plant unless you have a good, consistent source of power? So, nuclear can provide that, and small modular reactor technology is starting to gain huge acceptance around the world as well. Many of those small modular reactors are being considered and developed as we speak.
Okay, well, that's good to hear. I think the future is pretty bright for uranium, given everything that's going on. Another question that I can see has popped up. Would you consider a UK listing or joint venture projects to UK listed companies? We are we are short of uranium ops here. Yeah, that's definitely for sure.
We have looked at a listing in the UK in the past. To be frank, it's costly, but we do want to reach out to investors in the UK, and certainly, as we grow as a company, that certainly would be a consideration. On that note, Rebecca and I will be in London in November. We'll be attending the London 1-to-1 in London on November 20 and 21. So we'd be pleased to meet any and all investors in the UK there that would like to learn more about our project and about uranium.
Okay. Well, I might be able to meet you. I know I'm in London the week after for Resourcing Tomorrow, the Mines and Money big conference. So maybe I can come over a little bit earlier and meet you guys in person. It'd be nice to actually meet you in the flesh. I have a couple of questions that were sent in just prior to starting, and it is regarding the big drill campaign, that 12,000 meter drill program. Is the company cashed up, ready to undertake this program into next year?
Yeah, no, we're going to have to raise those funds for sure.
Okay.
And that budget, we're still working on the budget for that, but we will be looking for funding down the road
Okay.
at the right time and at the right price.
Okay, indeed. And with regards to First Nations, that's a big thing to consider in Canada. What are the relationships like with First Nation groups in the Nunavut area?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, in addition to all our kind of prep work, getting up there and doing the program we did this summer, we had a huge amount of community engagement. We consulted a group out of Saskatoon called Creative Fire. They're Indigenous owned, and they also have a lot of work with the nuclear sector. So they've been really instrumental in helping us build relationships up there. So we do have a really good relationship with all the regulators. We have all the permits. And we're really focusing on the community of Baker Lake and building those relationships, which have been all very positive to this date. So, and we continue to do so. That's it. As much as the exploration is super important, but all that engagement is a big part of our focus as well.
And I think, Mark, something your audience should know is that Nunavut is a territory in northern Canada where land claims have been settled. So the Inuit people there have made an agreement where they own certain parts of surface and subsurface lands in their territory, and the rest is crown land. So that's a big difference in working in Canada here, is that land claims are settled.
Okay, well that's good to hear, but it is very important, as Rebecca you mentioned there, to get the First Nations on side and work with them. So I'm pleased to hear that that is a big priority for the company and is already well underway. Another question that came in, and it's quite a good one, I think. It's regarding the program next year again, but it's a question that's asking: would you possibly look for a joint venture partner to assist with the drilling of Nunavut?
No.
No. Okay. Good.
No,
Just
this is a major discovery.
okay.
I'd like for Forum to take this as far as it can.
Okay, well that's very ambitious. That's good to hear, Rick. I have another question here. This is actually not relating to Nunavut or the uranium, but it's the Janus Lake project. I know we've spoken about that before, where Rio Tinto recently withdrew from that project. Is there any plans here? What are the plans for this prospect going forward? Is the camp still there? This is a question that someone would like to know.
Yeah, we've made an arrangement with Rio Tinto to regain 100% of that project. As part of that agreement with Rio Tinto, the main part of that agreement is that they get a 20% back in right at the point of feasibility study, and they have to pay for all exploration costs and costs of the feasibility study. So if that's $50 million, they have to pay us $50 million to get that 20% back in rate. No, they pulled all the camp out from the or that will be pulled out this winter, and we've got the property has good assessment work in it to keep it for another 15 years. So the Janus Lake project is still a very good project. In Rio Tinto's view, obviously they didn't think it was big enough for them, but it's big enough for a lot of other copper producers, or the potential size is big enough for other copper producers. So we think when the copper market is conducive to getting back and exploring there, it's a good optionality play for Forum to have this very good copper project.
Okay, thank you. I believe one question has come in. Yes, there we go. Does the FMC board have an exit strategy or disposal plan for the business, or maybe elements of the business?
Well, we're in the business. We're in the discovery business. That's where we excel. We're a technically driven team. Rebecca here is one of the top uranium explorationists for these types of deposits, in my view, and we've made great progress under her direction in a very short order, and in her first year as VP Exploration. So we're here to make a discovery, build up a mineral resource, get it to a preliminary economic assessment, and then we'll see what happens from there.
Fantastic. Well, thank you both very much. That puts us bang on time. Thank you very much for taking the time this evening. I do hope that I can meet you in person, where we can have a sit-down interview.
We'd both like to meet you in person.
Yeah, or I can maybe get out to your camp next year. We will
yeah.
see. I won't promise that yet. But are you both are you both quite busy now, or do you have time to stick around for the round table at the end?
I can stick around for the round table.
Okay, so that will be in about an hour after the next two companies talk. So that would be great if one of you could stick around to talk about all things uranium. But for now, thank you both very much, Rebecca and Rick, from Forum Energy Metals, and hope to see you again soon, and obviously keep track on how things are going at Nunavut. But